Now, what are these cutting edge technologies? Well, you will get a glimpse into a few of these potential multi-million job technology in the next video, but we're going to really feature them a little here down the road. And all I'm saying is Warren Buffett has numerally stated, a champion for fair America, one of the smartest men in America, investor extraordinaire, second, third richest man in the world, first, second in the nation, as stated, and he's been shunned every step of the way, but he's been a leader on this matter, saying that we need to even the playing field out to more of a level from a historical past average levels. In other words, we need to get back to a normal average mean. That's all. Okay? So next thing we want to do is look at worldwide government debt, including the United States debt, because this is the debt to GDP ratio is at a critical point over 100%, which is throughout history is shown to be a bad thing. And what we're going to do is not only focus on the U.S. but other major industrial economies that are major economies of the world that are very close to the same position as the United States. So let's go ahead and take a look. The first one we can see is Belgium at 98%. Now what I did is I left out a lot of countries. If you want to know a country, email me and I'll tell you. I only put in countries that have ones I want to recognize. So we got Canada at 84%. Then we go down, we see Egypt at 86%. We see Germany at 82%. But with them bailing out Europe, we expect that number to grow exponentially. Now we see Greece at 165%. Greece is going to see about 2 decades of very bad depression. We're close to this level, and we do not want to let ourselves get to a dangerous level like this. If we take action, we can prevent this before the door hits us in the face and breaks our nose. Let's keep the door from closing in the first place. Moving forward here, we see Ireland with 130%. Iceland and Ireland with 109%. We all know they've been going through issues too. Italy, another one going through issues, 120%. Then we look at Japan. Now, Japan is going to be a lesson from recent history at 208%. Pay close attention to this. And we're going to look at Portugal right here at 109%. They've been going through problems too and have been needing to be bailed out by the European Union. The last two to look at is United Kingdom and United States. United Kingdom's at 87. The United States is at 104. They're past the danger zone. That is higher. So now let's take a look at Japan over the last 30 years and see this lesson from recent history. Anyone over 30 years old can remember that in the 80s, it looked like Japan was going to take over the world. Every product coming out was from Japan. And then Japan went through a financial crisis. And what was the response? Well, they took a similar response as us. Tax cuts for the wealthy and stimulus plans for society. All it did was it increased debt and make it impossible for them to reinvest in their economy because a big portion of the government's revenue has to go to pay the debt. And what did that do? That inflated their debt to GDP from 65% in 92 to 180% in 2005. And as we just seen, that's over 200 and some percent today. Well, what has that done when the government can't invest in the economy? That causes a major stagnation on your economy and a major stagnation on growth. Well, in 1991, the Japanese economy nominally was still growing at 6%. Then 93, they were still growing at 5%. Then you go to 95, they were still growing at 4%. Then you go to 97 through 99, 2000, they caught a few years of 3%. Then you get into the 2000s, it went down to 2%, then 1%, then 0, then negative. Now they're at negative nominal growth. Now what else has happened? They've seen deflation. Let's take a look. Now this is Japanese historical inflation from 92 to 2012. This was taken September 6, 2012. Now what I want to do is focus on the years 2012 and down. Now you see in recent years they've had all deflationary years. In the beginning years they were still inflating because they had those stimulus plans. But all it did was hurt them for many years after that, as you will see. Almost every year over the last 20 years, at least 15 of the 20 were negative deflation. Just go ahead and keep your eye here on the right. As you can see, negative, negative, see, negative, 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 negative. Now here we get in the early 90s where they were still inflating. Okay, now let's look at the U.S. The U.S. historical inflation rate. Here's a chart from 1650 to current today. Well, here we got the 0% line, we got the middle line. Anything blue is inflation, anything green is deflation. As you can see, we regularly used to see 10 and 20% deflationary periods in this country. But since 1950, we haven't experienced any deflation. Anyone born after 1950 doesn't know what deflation is. Well, let me show you a little what deflation is. Okay, so we're going to look at the Japanese Nikkei, the most major stock market in Japan. In 1990, they reached a high of 40,000. Today, it's actually around 8,800, 9,000. If you go back to where that is, that's 1982, 1983 levels. Let's compare that to the United States S&P 500, which most financial experts will tell you, just about every financial expert will tell you this is the market to watch in the U.S. Now you can see the S&P currently is near its all-time high. Here was the financial crisis. You can see it had lost 50% of its value. That's why everyone said their 401k went down to 201k. But if we had what happened, we look at where the market was in 1982, look at this. If we do that on, whether we do that on a number or on a percentage basis, we're not talking about a 401k turning into a 201k over the next 20 years. We're talking about a 401k turning into a 20 or 30k. Now, that's not a joke. We need to get this message out. We need to get our debt to GDP out of this danger zone. More proof to show you that we can really suffer a recession. I'm going to show you recessions we used to suffer. Focus here on business activity. We regularly used to face 20 and 30% recessions. You see here, negative 32.8, negative 30.4.3, negative 19.7, negative 18.4, negative 23.1. These are being held. Just focus right here on this number right here. Like negative 23.8, negative 14.5. Negative 23.8 again, negative 33.6, negative 24.6, negative 29.7, negative 25.2, negative 25.9, negative 29.2, negative 25, negative 38, negative 25, negative 12, negative 26.7. That was the Great Depression. That we used to suffer them Great Depressions all the time. We've had many depressions prior to 1950. Now, what helped prevent us? And one of the interesting things is when you look at it, the number one reason that led to these was a financial crisis through the banking system. Number two was a post-war. So war is never good. It does boost the economy, but we suffer in the end. So it doesn't lead to real sustainable job growth. There are jobs that disappear. And number three, it was a too big to fail company. So what we did in 1933 is we passed, after the financial collapse of the stock market, 1929, we passed the Banking Act of 1933. Part of that was this Glass-Steagall Act. The passing of the Glass-Steagall kept the banks from gambling the public's money and putting the whole bank at risk, therefore when the bank is so big, it put the whole financial system at risk. So let's see after Glass-Steagall. Well, we have this negative 12.7% recession, which was the recession from 1945 after World War II. So yeah, we're going to suffer a little bad one. And then we have the recession in 1949. And what do we see here now? Now that we get it stable, negative 1.7. Negative 2.6, negative 3.7, negative 0.6, negative 3.2, negative 2.2. Well, the Fed and Glass-Steagall are both. The Fed's keeping the economy stable and inflation stable, and the Glass-Steagall Act is keeping the banks under control legally. So we continue on. Negative 2.7, negative 1.4. Now Glass-Steagall is repealed in 1999. we have a negative 0.3 from September 11th tax, which you can see here, right? Now, negative 5.1, that's what the financial crisis is. That hard time for us was only a negative 5.1, and it only took 9 years after the act was taken away for us to have another financial crisis. First financial crisis since prior to the law being enacted in 1933, and we also had the worst recession since 1945. Part of Glass-Steagall does need to be brought back to keep the bank from speculating public's money, and they need to solely divide the bank up and solely speculate their own profits if they want to play risky games, but not on the public's back. And we're going to talk more about this in later series. Now, the next thing I want to do is talk about the economy. Now, in the next series, what we're going to do is primarily talk mostly about the economy, because that's the reverse of how we change the debt situation. So today, though, what I want to do is mention in terms of the economy, there's 4 ways to stimulate an economy. One is through the Federal Reserve, and through government policy. Now, God knows we cannot tap those reserves anymore. 3 and 4 are where I'm going to show you in the solutions video, next video, why you want to watch, because each of 3 and 4 each have trillions of dollars of locked up capital in the market. With the right policies in place, we can unlock this capital and unleash it in the economy and get the economy roaring again. And same thing to mention here with what we're going to do is mention, just to give you a little peek though to the next video, what some of the solutions are going to be for jobs, as we will discuss how to add jobs in the short term through proper emergency incentives and inductions that have never been used in the past as part of the innovative solutions. Okay? And then in addition, we will discuss how we will add jobs organically through innovation over the next after the 5 to 10 years plus, but through real organic sustained growth. Now, again, in closing, everyone, again, all this has been produced, edited, and researched by me. And if anyone would like to comment, question, or contribute patronage to the cause, email me. Got my email, my Twitter right here. But again, the most important thing to me is that everyone checks me out each episode. You will be greatly informed in a short period of time. Plus, the most dangerous thing we can do, once again, is to do nothing. So, okay, thanks everybody once again. And I can't wait to see you in less than a week. I'm going to have my next video out here next Tuesday, November 13th. Again, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Now, again, I want to leave you in closing with this clips from Brooks and Dunn, Only in America, where only in America can hope and opulence coexist. And love you, everybody. Don't forget to send this message out. I'm depending on you. Fastest way to get a message out. Everyone have a good night. Love you. Thank you. And thank you for watching. Good night.